Okay, friends, phone off, notes on. And hello, welcome back to another Wednesday episode of the Welcome to My Tent podcast. I feel like I'm so close to the microphone. What am I doing? Like ASMR? No, this is not that kind of podcast. Anyway, hi friends. We have a solo episode today. I'm really excited. These have been really fun and well received. What am I? What was this accent? Oh my God. Anyway, they've been well received, and it's just updates and things that I'm kind of working through and going through. They're typically pretty real time, aka I am recording this on November 14th, and this episode will air on November 15th. So, always kind of cutting it close. But for solos, I kind of like that because it's real time, y'all. So let's do it. Okay, let's go. Love you. Hey. Hi. Hello. Hey. And welcome to my tent, a place to hear life experiences, different opinions, a range of journeys, and a viewpoint different than our own. A place to challenge our own thoughts, a space to learn a little bit, and I promise some fun along the way. I believe we're better when we let a range of people into our tents. So welcome to mine. Hello. I am excited to be here. Friends, it is Wednesday. I hope everyone has been traversing gently through the week. I always kind of find Wednesdays to be that mid-stuck kind of point sometimes. So hopefully I can maybe break up your week just a bit with this episode and some of the stuff that I've been thinking about recently and some of the things that I'm doing over here. And if you've been following along on this kind of crazy journey of being in corporate for 12 years and then leaving, and now I'm my own business person, and I've been doing some things over the past 2 weeks even that has added to my business sense. So I can definitely talk a little bit about that. But what else is going on here? So this weekend is a family reunion in Phoenix, which is very exciting. This is going to be my set of brothers from my mom and my stepdad. So my mom and my stepdad got married when I was like 1. And so these brothers have always been my brothers. And there's 2 older stepbrothers. I don't call them step. And then there's my brother. And then there's me. And then we all have kids. And then it's my mom. And then it's Pop's ex-wife. Like that. People are probably like, what the fuck? But she's part of the family. So she's also coming. But my brother Chris lives here with his wife and their 2 girls. I see them all the time. And then I have a brother from San Francisco, a brother from Indianapolis, and my mom is in Tucson. So there's going to be a lot of things going on here. And that starts on Thursday, which is going to be super exciting. If you have, big families, even not big families, I feel like it's so hard to get everyone in the same room. We have to plan these things so far out, especially because we're all in different places. We all have families. There's school schedules and trips and this and that. And so this has been in the works for a while, but I'm pretty amped. We're going to be doing a little staycation out of it. A bunch of us are going to be staying overnight at a hotel where other travelers, I guess, are going to be. So it's going to be kind of a chaotic back half to my week. And I've just been kind of heads down this week trying to front load some stuff to get out the door so I can enjoy some time off, which is definitely the benefit of running my own business. Is I do technically get to give myself days off whenever I want, but then there's also only me, so I have to adjust accordingly for that. But it's been pretty cool to have this flexibility. And one thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I repressed, I think, so much of the hardship when I was going through it in corporate. And what was it? Last week? Well, there's been 2 things. So if you've also been following along on the Instagram saga, my son is a biter. And I don't say this to shame him. It is very developmentally normal, but it is one of his vices. And it's typically when he gets frustrated, he doesn't have the words to communicate what he's feeling, he will bite. He has bitten us. He bites kids at school. But there are instances where if you bite a certain number of people, you are asked to go home. So that's happened, I don't know, like twice in the past month. And then last week he did have a fever. They realized he wasn't feeling well. So they called me and I had to go get him. And I started crying on the way to daycare, but not, I feel like, for the reasons that you may think. Because I actually realized for the first time since quitting my corporate job and becoming a mother, I wasn't racked with fear and guilt about having to go get him. And then I got emotional about that. But then I also got like angry crying, realizing just how fucked up it was, that it was so difficult a lot of times to show up for my kid. And there's just so many things that I feel like I could talk about within the work mom balance. But what I realized is like what I am doing now has opened me to so much more freedom to actually say like, I'm going to go get my kid. Or if I miss him one day and I want to get him early, or the fact that I don't have to ask anyone if that's okay. Like the fact that I had to ask if that was okay, I don't even know. I at the risk of saying too much, I don't know. But as challenging as it is to kind of start your own thing and how scary it is, and there's a lot that goes into it as a one person show. I'm working more than I was before technically, but at kind of weird hours. But I don't mind doing it because I'm enjoying it, and I get to go be with my kid if I want to be with my kid. And the only person I have to ask is myself, and I will always say yes. So that was an interesting kind of emotional moment for me that came up. And there is so much to be said about finding joy in unexpected ways. Like I am not making anywhere close to what I was making before. I obviously lost my health insurance. I am very privileged to be able to say I was able to go on Dukes. So I have health insurance. But there's pieces of the stability in corporate that I was so clinging to for so long. And while some of it's really terrifying to let go of, and I am making exponentially less money now, I am so much happier than I have been in quite some time. But with that, I also do want to say I'm obviously still utilizing childcare. My son goes to daycare, and what really pisses me off, and I had this conversation this past week, both on Instagram and in my DMs, are the people that really shame childcare, which I don't understand. I completely get that being a mother is a completely transformative experience. There is so much that we cannot replace as mother to child, just as I feel like there's a lot that we can't replace as father to child. Like there's things that my husband will give him that I can never give him, vice versa, all that jazz. But I also get really annoyed with the side of the internet that basically says your job in life is to produce and take care of the kids. Like that is your job, period. Because to me, I'm like, is this like 1930? Like what the hell is going on? But I also don't think it's fair to say you need to find a job that you can quit, or you need to prepare yourself to stay home. Because for me, working is something that gives me a sense of purpose and identity. And I grew up watching my parents, all of them, I have many of them, have amazing and brilliant careers. And I thought that that was so cool. I like having that piece of me. And I'm really digging what I'm doing right now because like I was talking about, like I can find that sense of flexibility more. But the second part that really pisses me off are the people on like TikTok or Instagram that are like, just get a work from home job and then you can have your kid here. First off, what kids do you have? Because I think that needs to be part of the conversation. Are these children robots? Because for the 2 days that my son was home because he had the fever and then needed to be fever free, I got nothing done. because he is a toddler, and rightly so. He needs me to do things for him, or he wants to do things, or he's frustrated, or he needs food, or he wants to take a nap, or he is taking a nap and then he needs to get up. Like, I get maybe 14 seconds of uninterrupted time before he needs something from me, which is normal. So I don't know what children these people have. Maybe they're older, or maybe they're super young, because I could maybe see it working when Ronan was super tiny and he stayed put where I put him and he slept a lot more during the day. But I would not be able to do what I do without enlisting childcare. And I was watching the stories of someone the other day, Jess, shout out, what up, girl? And she was talking about this as well, that if she was to hire someone for her business, it would be like, oh, boss, babe, boss bitch, like, look at her, she's hiring help. But when she hires help in the terms of childcare, she's a bad mom. And like, why is that? Why is that a thing? Like, I do think, at least for me personally, it's really important that I do have access to that childcare, and we're privileged to be able to do that. Because for me, like, I would not be able to get anything done. So I don't know who these people are who are saying, just work from home. Either you have a unicorn job that pays you extremely well to do an hour of work a day. You have more help than you're letting on. Because someone did also DM me like, well, I work from home and have my kids here. And then through conversation, it, came to find out her mom comes over for 3 hours a day every day. That's help. I think we just need to be a lot more transparent about it, because parenting is not for the faint of heart. It is very difficult. And I am extremely grateful for what I am doing now, for the ease of more flexibility, but I wouldn't be able to do it without help. Anyway, that's my rant. I did not realize I was going to go on a rant as long as that, but alas, here we are. Thank you for sticking with me. In terms of work, a lot of things are happening here, which is super exciting. And I'm figuring out that, the freelancing is really different. It is a very different ball game than what I was doing prior, which is like, I have one title, one job for one company, and I do that, period. But now that I am my own person with a lot of different skills and a lot of different interests and backgrounds, I'm starting to structure things where I'm really working on the wellness aspect of my business, and I've taken on some private one-on-ones, and I'm doing personalized coaching programs for those folks. I'm also starting to think about ways to do group programs and evergreen programs and downloadable videos and content and ebooks and PDFs and things that can be accessible to different types of people, different budgets. I'm working through that in a marketing sense and figuring out what that's going to look like moving forward. And I think the first part of it, which is going to be coming out first, is going to be the ebook, which I'm really excited about. And I'm writing that and working through that. And it's essentially my coaching principles in written form. And then we're going to have some future scaled out aspects to that coaching program to make it more accessible to not just one-on-ones, because I know that's expensive and I know that that's not what everyone needs. So I'm doing a lot on the coaching side, but I'm also freelancing and contracting my operations and marketing services to small businesses. So I'm working with other small business owners to help them with their back end, with their operational process, with their organization on the back end of the business. And that's keeping my marketing brain alive, which I did for 12 years. And it's also another revenue stream and source of income and breakup of my day, which I'm enjoying a lot more than I thought I would. My brain actually does really well with code switching like that. And it's really interesting to realize I can do a lot, and it's just going to look different. But the more comfortable I get with that, like as time goes on, I'm realizing it's pretty cool. So that's what we're doing here. But on the wellness front, I did want to touch on a few things as I've been scaling out a lot of these products and working more one-on-one with people because I've had the time to, which has been lovely. And really trying to figure out the best ways to get this out to more people, because I think the word, health and fitness or health and wellness coach gets kind of lost in translation. And I kind of want to do a level set on what I am as a coach, what I am not as a coach, and what that looks like for, signing up to engage with something that I am doing. And I do think that the word health coach gets a bad name, rightly so in a lot of ways, because I do see that there are a lot of coaches that work outside their scope, are not even certified at all, and are attempting to give fitness or health advice, or they're, delving into certain aspects that they just really don't have any right to be in. And a great example would be like a health coach that maybe is certified in fitness, creating like nutritional programming or nutritional guidance to their client in a very like specified manner. Like that's a dietitian's job. That's not a health coach's job, because they're not registered dietitians. They haven't gone through that schooling. So the way that I have structured all of this and the way that I work with clients is my own process. And this is a process that I have put into place that works for a variety of people. So what's really cool is it's the same process for everyone, even though every single person's goals, where they want to end up, where they are now, all of that's going to be vastly different. But the process that we put into place to get there is the same. So what I'm, doing on an individual basis now that we're going to be scaling out to be more accessible is the method of where are you now? So we have to figure out what is your baseline. And that is where you are currently. Like it doesn't matter where you were a year ago. It doesn't matter where you were when you were 16. It matters where you are now. That's going to be the baseline for everything that we work forward from. But figuring out where you are now, figuring out where you want to go. Like where does that ideal state look like? Setting your goals is a huge piece of the puzzle that I think a lot of people get stuck in. Embracing the change. So that's going to be behavior change, pattern change, working through resistance, figuring out best types of learning styles, working towards those goals, and then making it long term. So it's 5 steps. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? What are your goals? Set them, embrace the change, make it long term. And that framework you plug and play for whatever individual journey that you are on. And it's been really interesting to do this with myself. And this is a process that I take with myself any single time that I want to make a change, pretty much in my life, but especially with wellness. And what I've really realized is getting this process down and getting used to the discomfort and working through it and being realistic and creating systems and habits that accompany the goals, creating the small steps that add up to the whole. It is a process that I've implemented within my own life that does nothing but help me as my life evolves. So I was just talking about this morning because my time these days is net none. Like I have pretty much every single second of my day scheduled from wake up to when my head hits that pillow. And it's not a bad thing, but I do have to level set my expectations. And I was realizing I was feeling very burnt out and overwhelmed because I am not someone that loves physical touch. And it's not to say that I'm not it's not to say I'm some cold bitch, but it's the last of my love languages. And when I became a mom, there is someone virtually attached to you at all times, which is so normal. But for someone that can feel overwhelmed by physical touch, not to mention my husband also loves physical touch, I was like getting a little touched out and a little tapped out. I'm also extremely extroverted when it comes to like socializing and putting myself out there, creating connections, all that jazz. But I have a lot of introverted recharging tendencies, meaning I feel like I recharge best when I am alone. And some of you may like completely understand what I'm saying. And some of you are like, that's weird. I hate being alone. But what I also was realizing as I became a mother, like there's very few times that the opportunity arises to be alone. And so the view that I have on wellness when I was looking at this, in a sense that I was feeling really burnt out and tapped out and touched out and like peopled out, was like, okay, I have to figure out a way here to make this better. And what I've been doing is waking up at 5, which again is not everyone's, it may not float everyone's boat if you're not a morning person. And I've been waking up at 5 on purpose, not because of my insomnia, which is good. And from 5 to 6, I literally just be by myself. I sit my ass on the couch and I don't speak to anyone. I just sit there. I don't do anything. I am not itching to get up and start my to-do list or get into some high intensity exercise. Like, I just sit there. I am not touched. No one needs me. No one speaks to me. And that hour of my life is what allows me to function for the rest of my day, is what allows me to make everything else in my life sustainable. And that to me is a prime example of this process that I'm learning. Where am I now? I'm burnt out as fuck. I'm struggling. I need less people around. Like, I need balance. Where do I want to go? I want to find more space. I want to find less chaos. I want to get back to me for a sec. Okay, what are my goals? Okay, I need that time. I need silence. I need space. Okay, embrace that change. What does that look like? All right, it's going to kind of suck, I guess, to wake up at 5. Could I wake up at 6? Sure. Maybe sleeping in would feel nice. But at the same time, I'm going to have to embrace a little bit of change if I want to make that implementation in my life. Embrace the change of reframing my own thoughts on productivity and how much I'm getting done in a day. Because, 3 years ago, you wouldn't have caught me dead doing nothing. Because to me, the more I checked off, the more productive I was. But like I just said, this is setting me up for the rest of the day's productivity. Rest in itself is productive. So really embracing that change, figuring out ways to work it in, even if that's tough, knowing that that is for the greater good. These small steps that I can do every single day, or most days, because nothing's ever perfect. Anyway, and then make that long term. So once I get into these patterns and realizing how much space this is giving me and finding other little pockets. So maybe it's not a day that I can wake up at 5. Maybe it's a really crazy day that I have a family reunion. Can I walk around the block for 10 minutes by myself? Is there 5 minutes that I can take where I can just say, like, I need to tap out for 5 minutes. We have to figure out a way to make this long term. Doing this for 2 weeks isn't going to fix my life. Doing this in a sustainable and realistic way is going to make it long term. Anyway, so that's just like a real life example of this process that I use to really work with clients. And I'm not providing therapy. I'm not digging into your childhood and your trauma. I know that does affect the way that we show up in this world, but that's a therapist's job. Not me. I'm not providing you meal plans. If you come to me and you say, like, I'm struggling with protein, sure, I can put a list together for you of high protein snacks, but I'm not going to be getting in there and, creating these daily macro meal plans for you. That's a nutritionist's job. I am very certified in fitness, so I am frequently training clients in a fitness sense, which I am very capable and credentialed to do, and does bring me a lot of joy. But with the health coaching aspect of things, it is that process, figuring out what goes into your wellness. And that's not just food and fitness. That's not just, I feel like I'm not drinking enough water, or there's this or there's that. It's your joy, your relationships, your sleep hygiene, your work-life balance, your sustainability, your flexibility, your food and your fitness. Of course, those go into it, but working through all areas of your life that make you truly well, and helping you through that goal setting and that behavior change process that's going to get you where you want to go. And that's what I really want to make clear, at least the way that I health coach and the way that I view things, because I will refer you out if I feel like I'm out of scope. And I will say that's a doctor's job. I can't give you that advice there. The advice that I can give you is to refer you to someone that can handle this specific issue. But if you are someone that struggles with figuring out how to get where you want to go in terms of feeling better, that is the change that I help people enlist. And I do it to myself all the time. Anyway, that's a very long-winded way of saying there's a lot coming out with health and wellness coaching. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes here with setting that all up and getting all of that ready. And I'm just very grateful that I'm here and still able to do what I love. And it's not lost on me that this is not everyone's reality. I think that there's also a lot, as much as I shit on social media, it does have some good aspects, but a lot of times it drives me nuts. But there's a lot of noise out there being like, you can be a boss, just like quit your job and go do it. Like, obviously that's not everyone's reality. Like, we have bills to pay, we have things to do. I do come from a place of privilege with a lot of savings from my career, as well as my husband, who is working in corporate and is able to give us health insurance. And, there's a lot of things, a lot of barriers that I didn't have here. So I don't want that to not go unsaid, because it is a ton of work to work for yourself, but there's a lot that you need. And sometimes these like TikTok queens or whatever are like, just quit your job. And you're like, that's reckless. It's not to say that it's not possible, but I also built this business for 4 years while I still worked in corporate. So there's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes these people are like, I made $100,000 in a week. I'm like, doing what? Like money laundering? Like, what are you doing? You're either lying or you're money laundering, or this is illegal, or something is weird here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a skeptic. Who knows? Okay. I think that's all I had on my list. Yes, updates, family, freelancing, building coaching offerings. That's my list. It's 3 lines. And I somehow just spoke for 27 minutes. If you made it this far, I love you. And, doing what I do on this podcast and getting to coach is a dream. And I just am almost shocked at how repressed and depressed I was prior to this. I'm like working through that on my own time. But I really did not realize just how much of my soul was taken post mat leave. Again, at the risk of saying too much, I don't want to get in trouble. Anyway. All right. I love you. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Welcome to My 10 podcast. I hope you had as much fun listening as I do recording. I am so happy to have you here, and see you next episode.